Okay, so I was just coming back from buying groceries in the future dystopia which we now occupy, and I was thinking about something. Over the weekend, I decided to sit down and find out if there was any pop music that I like. Current pop music, because um, current pop music is. I did a video recently called Anatomy of a Modern Pop Song, where all it is a series of thumping noises and an auto tuned voice on top of it. And it's just it is an absolute abysmal travesty what's going on in popular music. Popular music should be Purple Rain and Thriller and Songs in the Key of Life and Kind of Blue and all of these extraordinary things that have come about through the years, but instead it's just thumping noises and a droning bass line because the producer, quote unquote, doesn't know how to actually construct a syncopated bass line that engages with the music rhythmically. So it's just boom, 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 boom. But I digress. Anyway, so I sat down on Spotify to see if I could make a playlist of music, popular music I actually like, current popular music, and I was pleased to say that I found 2.5 hours worth of music. Now, granted, a lot of that involved going to the international charts, but still, I found 2.5 hours, and outstanding among them was a track by Doja Cat. And I was amazed that there was an American hip hop artist modern American hip hop artist that I actually liked. So, fast forward to Monday, and we are now having the hashtag Doja Cat is over party happening on Twitter for a couple of reasons. And I want to get into the reasons, but I also want to get into the ramifications of cancel culture and especially the very disturbing way in which it's being discussed and it's being phrased. So, Doja Cat is apparently accused of two things. Now, I say apparently because I'm going off of news reports I've been reading and that kind of thing. One is she is accused of taking part in racist, what are called alt-right. They've been referred to as alt-right incel racist chat rooms. Um, and she denies taking part in their video chat rooms. And the video is apparently surfaced now. I can't find it, but I've seen little clips of it. But she wholly denies taking part in those things at all. However, there's a woman that people are saying looks like Doja Cat, and I have to stop and say, looking at that, I have to stop and try to look at the big picture for a minute. If this is a forum for incels, uh, and she's taking part in this, then in a way she's almost doing a community service because we live in a world where um, we're supposed to be afraid constantly of incels. Incels are apparently the most horrifying thing, one of the most horrifying things on the planet, because everyone's like, oh no, we don't know when they're going to flip out and go kill everybody because they can't get laid. Well, entertaining that premise, what she's doing is almost a public service because that's probably the most interaction that most of those guys have had with a beautiful woman. So it might be that she is either nullifying or forestalling the potential for those guys. I am sorry, I am sneezing left and right today. Uh, she's probably either forestalling or nullifying the potential for those men to go commit heinous acts of violence. So, in a way, that's probably a good thing. But the idea of it being, I question the idea of it being a racist alt-right forum because there's a certain shoveling effect where everything that's not politically correct gets shoved into the alt-right banner. So I would want to go see, is this like a forum where like it's expressly the masthead is a Totenkopf and a swastika and they're expressly white pride and all of that. Is it expressly that, or is it there's a picture of a frog and someone doing an OK symbol and now we're freaking the fuck out? It's that kind of thing. There's a certain gray area there that I don't really know, but one of the things that she's accused of doing is saying that she's not proud of her race, that she wishes she was a different race. And this is a tangential point. This is not really a refutation of that. It's just something that comes up in my mind. It's something, I have a list of questions that nobody has ever been able to give me a good answer to. And one of those questions is, why is it that you can choose your gender but not your race? Why is it that you can choose to be any gender you want but not any race you want? Your race is hardwired, but your gender isn't. Why is it that you can make up a gender if you want, but you can't make up a race? Why is that? No one will touch that, and so that's just very bizarre to me. We saw this again with Rachel Dolezal, where, again, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to give any sympathy to Rachel Dolezal, but it's like it is just that question of, why can you choose your gender, but you can't choose your race? And the best response that I get when I ask that, the best response I get is, or the closest thing to a response, is that people act like I'm being sarcastic. No, I'm genuinely asking that question. People ask me, or act like I'm being sarcastic, like there's some fundamental, obvious answer that I am just choosing to ignore. No, I'm not. I genuinely want an answer to that question. And people will point to, well, there's brain science to say that, to show that people have mental conditions that show that they don't align with the gender they were born with. Okay, well then why can't there be mental conditions to show that they don't align with the race, the ethnicity that they were born with? I mean, that makes no sense to me, especially because, as I've said before, internally, like, I resonate so strongly with, like, East Asian cultures like Japan and Korea and that sort of thing. Like, I resonate with those cultures so much that if I actually believed in the transracial bullshit, I might actually be tempted to say, oh, I'm actually an Asian person in a white person's body or something. But I don't, because I'm not an asshole. Anyway, at least not in that regard. But then the second major point that people have come up with is that they found a song from 2015 that she did called "Didn't Do Nothing," and the term "didn't do nothing," if you don't know, is a stylized expression of "I didn't do nothing," which is it's meant to be a it's meant to be a pejorative slur towards African Americans that feel like they're being harassed by the police, and it originated in alt-right circles. Okay, this again blows my mind, and maybe I'm just too high-functioning autistic to understand here, but what is it about this that makes it unacceptable from a hip-hop artist? The hip-hop is a genre where, and I say that to include, because I know hip hop as an expression covers modern R&B and certain aspects of pop as well. Hip hop as a genre uses the N-word, the slur to end all slurs, as a fucking comma. It's like, why did we suddenly decide that this ethnic slur, this use of an ethnic slur in a song, was suddenly unacceptable, when the entire hip-hop industry has been built on the flagrant and unrestrained use of the N-word? So people say, oh, well, it's because she's using it to criticize African Americans. Oh, yeah, you might want to go back and listen to a whole fuck lot of hip-hop music that has used ethnic slur, that has been African Americans using ethnic slurs to criticize African Americans either as individuals or groups. If you are going to cancel one hip-hop artist because of their use of ethnic slurs, then you need to throw the whole fucking genre out the window. And considering what's coming out of modern hip-hop lately, that might not be a bad thing. If we could bring back bebop and swing jazz and fusion, all of that as make that the mainstay of African American musical culture, the whole world would probably be a much better, much happier place, and my next door neighbor might finally start playing music that I can fall asleep to. That's another story. Anyway, so all of this seems like this weird brouhaha over things that either are nonsense crap that's not worth anybody's time, or things that are otherwise normally acceptable from hip-hop artists and strangely unacceptable, hypocritically I would say unacceptable in this one case. But more than that, we really need to stop and think about the phrase the hashtag Doja Cat is over party. That party word is really concerning to me because on a sociological level, cancel culture is the new lynching culture. Granted, nobody is getting out there and actually getting hung, actually getting put to death. When actual physical lynchings, as in the case of Ahmaud Arbery, occur, people are very quick to express their outrage and their disdain, as well they should. But when and by the way, the I have other videos where the actual topic is Ahmaud Arbery, so if you want to express your opinions, kindly take them to that. This is for this current topic: cancel culture and Doja Cat. And the anyway, the point being that party thing is very, very concerning because you have to remember about the historically lynchings were not all done in under the cover of night by rednecks in white hoods that were protecting themselves from the protecting their vigilante acts from the awareness of the long arm of the law, assuming the local police weren't actually just wearing those hoods themselves. It wasn't always just like that. It wasn't just that. There was a time in areas in this country where lynchings were done in broad daylight. Lynchings were something that the wives and the kids would come out and make a picnic to watch. It was a Sunday afternoon community event. That's in part where Shirley Jackson got the idea for the lottery. And that's we need to be very, very mindful of that because while that kind of lynching might not occur anymore, at least not on any kind of regular basis, we need to also be mindful of the fact that calling this online cancel culture a party, something that we're all throwing our joy and our passion and our community, our sense of community into, is a very, very toxic, very negative thing. We should not be having a party because people are enacting enacting the destruction of somebody's reputation. That is not something we should be doing. If there is a scandal so severe that a large number of people are calling for a renunciation of the person in question, then much better to call it what it is, which is a boycott. Because when I look at the tweets that are coming through on the party hashtag referring to this, it's people that are gleeful, that are excited, that are thrilled that they get to cut down this person. And you know what the reality of it is? We have all done and said things in the past that we wish we could take back. We have all said cold, insensitive, heartless things. We have all been jerks. We've all been assholes at one point or another. There is not one person who is doctrinally pure in all of this. I promise you, I could dig into the tweets of any person that is tweeting positively on the Doja Cat is canceled hashtag, or Doja Cat is over party hashtag. I could dig into the tweets of any of those people and find completely heartless, completely asinine, completely disturbing, completely rude, asshole-ish things that they have said. Everybody has done this because we're human. And it's literally everybody. And there's only been one person in all of history that has ever lived a life totally free of this kind of behavior, and y'all cancel culture partied his ass onto a fucking cross. So stop and realize what you're doing. Stop and realize how toxic this is, and stop and realize that this is going to kill our culture. You are killing the cult. You are killing our culture. You are killing humanity. You are pushing people into drab submission because now nobody is going to want to become successful. Nobody is going to want to take on the requisite amount of fame that comes with being successful because they know that as soon as they reach any kind of prominence, cancel culture is going to hit them like a ton of bricks. People are going to start digging through their past until they find something that they can use against them. I mean, my God, people dug back into, 10 years worth of Kevin Hart tweets to find the stuff that they used to get him thrown off of the Oscars. Trevor Noah, I think it's Trevor Noah takes over the Daily Show. People dig and dig and dig and dig and dig until they find something. You can dig and dig and dig on everybody and find something. That's why you remove the plank from your own eye before you worry about the plank in your brother's eye. Peace.